This is Rich. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let me get on here. Now, I'm going to label this professional career beginning in late 2008. That's while I'm in Birmingham here, okay? You're seeing I'm trying to get that PhD in vocational psychology. I'm not going to review that video. We're pushing for time so much here in survival. Let me just get this out. In late 2008, I've been advised to be extremely careful how I share this. I had an individual I knew earlier in 7th grade and high school. The guy met me, we teamed up again on Facebook. And this individual clearly let me know that he's an apathy. And basically it's partnering up in the context of professionalism as far as a good solid career ahead of us with chiropractor. Okay? That's exactly the way I took it. I extended the trust, okay? And then I have clearly explained, I do not know what set of videos, I have described that in detail. It could be late 2008 through 2011 with a number to it. It may be in the months with numbers next to it. I do not know which set of videos that is in. I'm doing this as a most rough draft. You know everything about me. What's the end result? Honestly, a whole heap of trouble. I was going to be a nice guy. I don't know how he concocted something like this. You got it all on previous videos. Obviously, I could explain all of it all over again. Absolutely, I believed it was in the context to chiropractor and naturopathy as a profession. It appeared, though, as the next over 3 years progressed, this individual kept contacting me in that context. Now, it may have been under his thumb, okay, without getting that hold on me. It was actually using that context to gain control over me. Manipulative. For complete ulterior motive. That we're up in our 50s. We're not kids anymore. We're not kids anymore. Okay? Normally I'd overlook that. In fact, I have not filed any charges. And I was hoping that I would not need to be able to file any sort of charges. At this point, I would say where I am right now, with $70,000 wiped out by this, it's all in the earlier videos. That's why I did that many videos, to go further into depth and explain it. I already have. The end result was his goal to bankrupt me. I didn't know the guy was on drugs. I found out he's smoking pot in his 50s, related to chiropractor and naturopathy. You give it a thought. Now, I can honestly say that this should have been a professional career without any question, beginning in March or April of 2009. By the time it was said and done, I had somebody contacting me constantly about career success in context of partnering up. Okay? Instead, though, it was quite a bit different. Quite a bit different. That's all I can say. Go back to the earlier videos. It's in there. I truly did trust him. I believed him. Now, there's other factors that came into play here, too. Okay? And what did come into play is I continued to need that PhD in vocational psychology. I have fully explained that in earlier videos. I continued to submit my resume. I continued to do everything I can. The past of mine was slipping away to a different kind of incorporated norm. Very common out here in Alabama. It's in all those videos. I know I repeat the same thing again and again, but I can say I'm repeating that for clarification purposes. I may repeat it. You'll see that in those videos. Everything there about me has been fully disclosed. By the time it's said and done, I'm in absolute survival as of beginning in 2010, and by the time 2012, I'm at the point now that I have been completely transformed to a completely different type of incorporated norm. What's true about my 40-year history is fully intact. Okay, that experience I stated is there, just waiting to be applied. It should have been applied. Piece of cake. Unfortunately, in Birmingham here, A is not A, it becomes B and C. Yet in Lake County, what's A remains A. There's a correction out here, it's felonies. I don't even question that now. I didn't know I was dealing with a guy that was smoking pot and partying for the last 40 years. And I have no way to actually substantiate whether, but with teaming up in that type of context, I believe if that's ran by the highest level of expertise, that's the most likely scenario. I call it stalking myself. I don't know what you call it, because you're still dealing with a rough draft. I've clarified and continue. This has been a tremendous amount of work. I believe you would agree too when you look at that 100 videos, how much I had to recall. Most likely, I don't know whether it's 100,000 experiences in my lifetime or a couple of million. But I can tell you I'm putting out the words, sentences, and paragraphs, like how I introduced myself. And so it is very obvious that this current career should have been very successful. However, instead, it appeared to be to gain control over me. I did not know drugs were involved in any manner. And I'm taking a guess, someone's going to be in a whole heap of trouble. I don't want to harm anyone. If I'm thrown into homelessness, now, I was never able to get the PhD in vocational psychology. You'll refer back to that. That's the basis of my true expertise. That is where I have labeled it falsified medical records, psychological malpractice. No, I was never seeking education. I was seeking a PhD in vocational psychology. How come? You have that experience for roughly from 1986 through 2001, certainly the first half. I have been 100%, that is something I would never exaggerate. I have to absolutely prove that indeed, in that top business graduate management environment, with 50% of that's in Lake Forest, I had a couple of thousand interactions where I truly did have the most successful business leaders in the nation give me a hand. When you get experience like that, it led off after 100 PhDs in vocational psychology. Okay? For some reason, that area of Northfield, where there's a very secluded area around Kenilworth there, I don't know, I just know I gained a lot of experience from a very large sector of residences from a very intelligent, very high-level environment of business success, most likely considered one of the highest in the nation, certainly one of the most successful. That's what's true about me, okay? That's true for 30 years. And then I came out here, and I obviously did everything I could. I've contacted employment agencies. I've done everything I can to make that exact match. Now, if you put me back in that setting on the Chicagoland North Shore, I'm fully experienced. It'll start up where it left off. Okay? I understand. I still have been seeking that PhD in vocational psychology. Maybe, I wouldn't believe it doesn't exist out here. But I began learning about an incorporated norm. I've explained throughout the videos. It would be hard to believe, wouldn't it? I wouldn't believe it either. come out here. It's not that there's no jobs. There's plenty of jobs out here. And underdeveloped, or whatever the other one is, or the intelligence isn't as high. I'm sure the intelligence is equal. It's how that intelligence is applied. And I'll tell you, I never knew anything until the beginning of this year, 2000. I know what the feedback I was getting, my perception. But to be able to really discern it, absolutely, these special interests, and I mean, it is true. The political environment, there's felonies. It's whether or not you get caught. Well, I've come from out of state, so I guess even, yes, and you yank out university professors from the university system, and it's not going to work. No, you can't change what's true about my background for 30 years until I come out to Birmingham. Okay? It was obvious when I have shared directly related to this so-called professional career of partnering up that I dealt with someone who is on drugs, and I didn't even know it. I didn't know it. I do know I've retained all the supportive documentation. I expect nothing but denial. It's not going to work. Not with that much supportive documentation that I've retained. I guarantee you the truth is going to come out, and I'm taking a guess by what I understand. Since he used that profession, and it was supposed to turn out that way, I have a feeling that he's going to pull every single maneuver to deny all of it. That's the only thing I've experienced. I've called him, it's very obvious. It's a complete ulterior motive to gain control over me. Is that stalking? Surely isn't harassment. It's a serious context. So yes, I continued doing everything to get that PhD in vocational psychology. I needed it. And, I found something very amazing, too. When this guy would call me up yelling and fighting and blaming and all this, using the career success equivalent to chiropractor and napathy, while it was a complete ulterior motive to gain control over me for whatever that other substance is, it continued for over 3 years. I found it amazing when it was this great big, and I toughed it out, too. I toughed it out. And it was just, the slate would be wiped clean. And I didn't know anything until the later part of 2011 or 12. I think it was 2012, when I found out that, he had posted that for over a year on Facebook, and I backed up that file. And you know what happened in April. He says, I tell him he's stalking me, he laughs hysterically and says, who's going to know? I'm going to talk bad to Bob about you. I mean, I really. And he thinks he's going to cover that up. I've been in contact with the Highland Park Police so many times. Did he concoct that? Is that what he experienced for over the decades, internally, domestically? The truth is going to come out on this one. If he wanted to partner up, he's going to deny every single bit of it. You look at that supportive documentation, though, that I have, and he's going to start getting caught real quick in maneuvers and denial. It will not work. What I'm stating is true. He approached me and wanted to partner up in the most professional context, and I trusted and believed him. Was his goal to bankrupt me? I don't think someone on drugs thinks that far. I just dealt with equivalent to a raging alcoholic that got himself in a whole heap of trouble here. And now if I'm going to end up homeless in absolute survival, that's a big part of it in my current career. That's partnering up in the context of chiropractor, napathy, that high of a profession as far as achieving a great, healthy, successful career. He used that to gain control over me. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the most likely scenario of that psychological manipulative substance. Now, let me mention, I was never able to get that PhD in vocational psychology. Never was able to do it. I've labeled that. I believe it's an agreement up north along the Chicago and North Shore. That type of substance is psychological malpractice. Yankee Human Studies professor, I never did commit a psychological disorder. No matter how convincing she is, it'll be maneuvers. I expect there to be no truth. Just climbing up politically to, yes, it would be a correction in Lake County. It would be a correction. And where I am as far as my career right now, right now it's breaking down. I'm financially being completely wiped out. My checking account, my bank account's getting overdrafts all over the place. I'm within days of homelessness. I am continuing to work a career. Yes, there is a realistic market, without any question. I'm operating far from optimally, and I have a feeling I'm going to run out of time before I'm successful in it. Is there a realistic market for a solid marketing platform? Absolutely. This is very powerful marketing software. It's the most valuable as far as a marketing platform. And there's something else which is if you were to do this full time, certainly it's a secondary source, and I don't even question, if you really invested the work, you could be very successful with what I'm working with. These are solid companies where there's I didn't expect someone to eat up 1,000 hours of valuable time in equivalent to someone who would be on a raging alcoholic context. I'm certainly not. I don't drink. I don't touch the stuff. I have a feeling that's gone on for over 40 years, and when you really look at what happened there, I don't think there's any possible way he may try to say anything. My guess is he's going to say it's not going to be true, and I'm going to have the supportive documentation to catch him in his lie. Each one of those. I have the emails that show my final response. Every single one of them, if we get off that personality stuff that he kept going on for hours upon hours. And when you really add it up, I believe the truth will come out here. He's not going to admit it, though. I think eventually he's going to be forced into it. The maneuvers will not work. Why did he do this to me? There's nothing in our past. And he's nowhere to be found. It's completely, the slate is wiped clean. My guess is every single time I related to him, he was either high, drunk, or on drugs. And other participants came into it too. I've explained that in earlier videos. So it looks to me like I will be going to the Highland Park Police. And someone's going to be in a whole heap of trouble. Yeah, you talk about partnering up and it throws me to homelessness. Thanks to wanting to help me out as far as the highest level, as far as a professional career. That's what I believed. I didn't believe it would be used to gain control over me and slander me, and among many other things. This has been a big factor. It's not a joke. It's not harassment. I'll leave it up to you what it is. I don't want to harm the guy, but I guarantee you this kind of substance is very serious. That all could have been success. Now, has the damage been done between all of these factors being taken into account? Have I been injured? Most important, did I injure myself? Or is there any sort of erroneous information that I'm believing that factually would be very much erroneous for correction? And I have to honestly say, no. I'd like to know. I really would. I really would like to know, because that's the pattern that I come from. And so, let me see how much time I have here. Good. So, absolutely, no, there is what I am aware of. My perception, I'm not perfect. I am human. But I have to honestly say, no. No. I'm the one who got injured here. And I will be fully accountable too, because it does take two. It's obviously something that I never would. I was believing the intended purpose. I was believing in extending the trust. Everything I believed was an exact context to our 50-50, the healthiest outcome. Okay. Did I know about falsifying medical records or psychological malpractice or maximizing performance? Absolutely not. I would believe at a correction towards exactly what the intended purpose was meant to serve. Would I ever believe that a business professional in that high of a level would do what I've stated here to gain control over me with it's in all the videos? It's all I can say. I spent the time earlier fully disclosing that. You hear me repeating, and as we've gotten up to this point, further clarification to how this happened, that one day when you meet with me, you'll fully understand the basis of exactly what happened here. Just all it takes is a piece of paper and a pen. And I keep mentioning, too, that for me to reincorporate in that norm of the Chicagoland North Shore, now that's something I would never fool around with. That's what I've been at all along. That no matter how severely I've been injured and beaten down in absolute survival, to where I'm going to have one single choice. You put me back up on that Chicagoland North Shore, optimally utilizing those resources. And by what I am aware of, with that business experience that I have, that is the clientele base where there's a solid demand. And I'm highly experienced in creating success with that, with those people that relying on verbal communication skills and meeting them out at their house. I'm fully 100% experienced. I gained that experience virtually for a decade. So it's going to be very interesting if it comes out to be for me to get back to a fully incorporated norm of what I've experienced throughout my life. And I promise you, optimally, to incorporate me back among the most successful business leaders with that business expertise. I am being 100% honest. I've been at it all along down here in Alabama, all along. This never should have happened. Of course, it's me. But when you relate to, when relationships include sharing and relating in proper context. And what I have to say is all of this could have been in the healthiest outcome. Every bit of this. Yes. Now, who does it fall on? It falls on me. Now, it gets very complex because you got two participants there. When you got two participants, you got to discern the difference between the two. And I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of denial and a lot of maneuvers here, and I can say it will not work. You can't change what's true about my background. For over 40 years, I have a tremendous amount of supportive documentation to fully substantiate everything I'm saying. I would never manipulate, ulterior, I never want that to happen. No, not with that business experience I was able to gain. That's why it was so impressed on me. That's 100% honest. That business experience I have in the old money up and down the Chicagoland North Shore, absolutely. 50% Lake Forest, I have to thoroughly be, and that's the way I would have operated down here. Look, I'm running out of time here. I am in absolute survival. I still am working a career. There is a solid market demand. I'm far from optimum, and I may have run out of time here. I'm being so financially destroyed at this point. I did not know about Dr. Jekyll's and Dr. Hyde's with Obviously, that's very common for someone who happens to do a little bit of partying among with endless setups to play into to gain control over me again. That went on for over 3 years. 3 years. That's honestly, that's very common. Why I wouldn't touch the stuff. Where people do a little partying, that's exactly who approached me. The raging alcoholic or drug addict. God only knows what internally has gone on for the last 4 years. I can say that I truly did trust him. There was no reason not to, and I toughed it out a lot. Run that by the Highland Park Police. I don't want to harm the guy, but if I'm thrown into homelessness, it's going to come out. And that's why I'm doing this right now. I have any moment I could be thrown into homelessness now. I'm going to walk away to what's true for over 40 years, 30 years, and about a decade in that respect. Okay? So, what I honestly have to say, is no, I never fool around. I am a thoroughly honest person. Honestly, if you ever do check me out, push me a little bit, I will always tell the truth. That's how I gained that experience in Lake Forest. That's all I know for over 40 years. Out there in Birmingham, felonies, completely out of control with psychology way beyond steroids. That's the difference. It's all in the earlier reviews. So obviously what should have been a very successful professional career starting out in 2009, I'm in absolutely completely survival to this point that there's a good chance that I'm being thrown into homelessness. And I could lose my power or water or anything at any moment now. I have a feeling that Dr. Jekyll, Dr. Hyde, someone's going to be in a whole heap of trouble. Is that actually stalking? I'll leave that up to you. I trusted and believed him. And the thing is, it could have all been a good, healthy outcome. It could have been, because the companies I've strived for do have tremendous growth potential. But you're dealing with someone that's eaten up hundreds and hundreds, up to thousands. Could have been a couple of thousand hours by the time it's said and done on a complete ulterior motive to gain control over me. That is as honest as I can be. I couldn't stop him. You got it in the earlier reviews of what's happened here. I didn't know it until I finally found out he was on drugs. That was when I ended it. You laughed hysterically. You got it. So I guess that was all help, among many other forms of help. I can't find it though. Can you? Thank you for investing this time. I'm going to label this present career. None of that should have happened. I had to learn it and experience it to understand it. Now you're getting the perception of what I now understood has happened here. I can't believe it happened to me. The truth is always going to come out. Everything taken in consideration. Thank you.